This
down.
conference will now be recorded.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So I wrote it down, the definition that they shared with us of accountability. And so they were saying accountability is communicating accurately, taking the initiative to understand something, owning your own problems, admitting your mistakes, and welcoming feedback. And I thought when she was sharing that with us in this webinar, how relevant this idea of accountability is right now for everyone, especially those of us that have privilege or a platform. And so, you know, as we're thinking about what's happening in the world and going into Pride and everything like that, I really love this definition of accountability, and it kind of was a reminder to me of what I should be doing daily to be supportive and to be an ally and to be and remain focused. So I wanted to share that with you. It was really good.
That was good. I love that.
Yeah. Your intro, miss.
Well, I was just making sure. Well, everybody, welcome back to another Coffee with the Bluecoats. It is June 2nd, which means that we are day 2 into Pride Month. So we have a special guest here today. Paul, if you want to kind of go into Pride and maybe like what the campus is going to do moving forward, like with Pride Month, if we have anything.
Sure. So for those who don't know what Pride is a celebration of an uprising, really. Kind of what we're seeing now today in our streets harkens us back to the fact that all struggles for individuals to have the same rights as everybody else begins with protests and begins with fighting back tyranny. And so that's really how Stonewall, which was a bar in New York that within the Village, a lot of the patrons that went to gay bars across the country were constantly harassed by police, either being arrested for what were deemed moral laws or for violating moral laws, and were constantly harassed and never able to actually enjoy each other's company and be in a community and establish community and live. And so one night, after just having being done with the constant barrage of harassment and violence from police, not really over one night, it was really over several nights. Those in Stonewall rose up, and Stonewall was the spark really that put together Pride Month as a whole. So it's a celebration of LGBT history and being and community. Right now, our Pride Month looks a little sparse because we're all at a distance and working remotely. However, students will still see messages happen across campus and across our social media platforms. We're looking for speakers who can really tell about their experience and coming out and what that experience was like for them. And so hopefully we'll be able to put some of those sessions together for students. Last year we had a fantastic opportunity to allow folks to identify as allies and to openly identify and place their fingerprint, their palm on banners across campus, saying that they're an ally, and just acknowledging the fact that we're here and we have a right to build a community. And so hopefully we'll be able to see more happen throughout Pride Month. We are looking to move Pride Month for campus more toward probably April timeframe. So that way, all of campus can celebrate Pride Month, and we can actually engage in celebrating the community. However, this June is always the national celebration of Pride Month, and though there will not be a Pride celebration in Austin in June, it's usually in August and September. Why, when it seems a little bit even more hot in August and September? We do encourage all of our students, if we have the opportunity to hold, well, if Austin has an opportunity to hold a Pride celebration, we encourage you all to do what you feel is best for you and safe, and we encourage you to take the opportunity and learn about LGBT community. And you probably know quite a few of us out there, and so I encourage you to go to Pride, learn, ask questions, and engage one another.
Yeah, speaking of Stonewall, shout out Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes.
Yes. She was a Black trans woman who was one of the front runners in the Stonewall riots.
Yep. In fact, I'm pulling up my phone really quick because I had a friend of mine put together a really incredible like fan art of her. It was beautiful the way it came out.
Wow, is that hand drawn?
Yeah, with watercolor.
Whoa! Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, it looks like
It was
a
really
fake
cool. I saw that on their social media. I was like, and I'm taking.
That's crazy. You should
That's
post their ad.
incredible. With watercolor?
Yep.
Wow. What a
You should
talent.
plug the username.
Is her username?
I'll go like it.
Let me get it from her and I will send it to y'all.
Cool.
Awesome.
So, I know you talked about a little how Pride Month came to be, but what does Pride to you specifically mean?
So I grew up in South Central Indiana, a fairly conservative and fairly, I will say, fairly conservative when it comes to family values area. It is it was a very interesting time to actually live in that part of Indiana, because Bloomington, Indiana, which is about probably 35 minutes from where I grew up, is probably the most LGBT friendly place in the entire state, and was in most of the Midwest for a very long time, even more friendly than Chicago for a time. And that, when I went to IU, when I started going to IU to be on campus, probably my freshman or sophomore year of high school, and I started kind of understanding what it meant to be a dude who enjoys the company of other dudes, and to identify as gay. The first time I ever went was a Pride celebration in Bloomington, and I was amazed. I had no idea that community and that culture existed. And so for me, Pride Month represents awakening of who I am and of a community. It represents really kind of a freedom of, I guess, getting rid of a prison, if that makes any sense at all. When you feel like you have to mask who you are, or how you identify, and who you love, and just generally who you are, if you feel like you have to hide that, that mask becomes a prison. And so Pride really, for me, represents taking that mask off and being able to say, you know what, no, this is who I am.
I really like that. I have another question, because I just love media studies. how do you feel that like mainstream media becoming more accepting, like in telling the stories of like the LGBTQ community, kind of like Love, Simon and Moonlight especially, because I know Moonlight has won like so many awards, and even like characters and like the new like Pixar movie, one of the characters is lesbian and talks about like her girlfriend, and you know, like kind of integrating that community into like kids movies, stuff like that. How do you feel that is going to like change the mindset of people like moving forward like into the future? Do you think that the younger generation, I know already, like I feel like it's more accepting of that community, but do you feel like even the generation coming up is going to feel even more accepting than even my generation, because they're being more that community is being more integrated and being less stereotyped in mainstream media?
So just this morning I was watching the news and I was reminded of Martin Luther King's quote that the arc of the universe is long and that bends toward justice. And so it means, you know, for me, that means that things may move slowly, but they're going to continue to move and continue to progress, and we will continue to make progress and continue moving forward. And so for me, that represents just another movement of progression, of being able to show kids that they may not understand the feelings that they have, but it is completely normal. And Pixar also has a gay character, a male gay character that recently came out on Pixar, and it's fantastic. It's telling about this man who is afraid of coming out to his parents and introducing his boyfriend to his parents. And without going into too much detail, is quite possibly the most amazing story of acceptance and unconditional love ever. Because what you hear, without going into how this happens, but what you hear is that you hear the son, you see the son overhearing his mother talk about how much she loves him and how much it hurts that he's moving away. And then she says, and by the way, I hope he knows that we know he's going to find someone out there to make him happy. And we hope that whoever he is, that blah, 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 blah. And it's just an incredible moment. And so being able to show that to kids who are struggling or may not fully understand how they're struggling is monumental. It helps with decreasing teen suicide, especially among LGBT youth. It helps in decreasing the amount of mental health concerns we see coming out of LGBT youth when they're coming out. And so it is one way to just to really communicate to a community that they have support and they are loved.
I definitely agree. I think, you know, kind of like what we were talking about before we were live with Copy of the Bluecoats. I think with racism, anything, you know, awareness with LGBT and like basic values like stealing, you know, I think there is going to be that continuous progression. But I also believe like it starts with us, you know, like in our house, like we have to, you know, like continue raising awareness and being the voice, you know, and like for the children, it is good that there's these huge companies that are putting awareness out there and creating characters. Like that's awesome. When you're talking about the guy character, Paul, like I got chills.
Mm-hmm.
And like what, like I don't know, it just makes my heart so happy. And but I do believe that it's gonna be up to us, you know, and to just continue that and like, you know, make it, you know, grow it more, you know, and not just have it on the back burner. Like it needs to be a priority for everyone, I think.
Yeah, you know, it can't be just a one-time thing. It can't be, it's just something, and also can't be something that we just do once a year.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, like all too often, our focus has to be placed on something, on other things. But it should be something that we as an institution, or we as the Division of Student Affairs do, or we as people do on a very regular basis, on a daily basis. Show a community that we love you and we are here for you, and we accept you, and we empower you. And those are things that we need to be doing to every community out there that has been targeted or discriminated against or in any way harmed by a majority view or by just community.
I have kind of, okay, so as the only, I'm the only straight white male from the South on this whole thing.
No pressure. No
I have
pressure.
yeah, no pressure. No, I kind of have like a crossover question, because I have a good friend from Iowa. He's gay, and he didn't come out till I think a year and a half ago, a couple years ago. And I was one of the first people he told. And we were talking about something the other day. It was actually more related to racism, but he and I kind of talked about how this could definitely relate to the LGBTQ movement too. Do you feel like the presumption that it's worse in certain geographical areas prevents people from addressing it in areas that are assumed to be all okay? And the reason I ask that is because you'll get a lot of people make the automatic assumption that racism is just worse in the South, and that some people say it only exists in the South. I want to smack them, but when people assume that, I feel like they ignore it in other areas. And my friend that I was talking to, he said he's from Haverhill, Iowa, tiny little town. I don't even know where it is. And he lives in Omaha now. And he said, I lived in the South for quite a while working for city planning. And he said, the racism I saw down there cannot match the segregation I've seen in Omaha. Yet everyone would assume that he had it worse in Texas. And he said, I had a much friendlier and better treatment from straight people in College Station than I ever did up in my hometown. And so I'm kind of, all that to wrap it into my main points. Do you feel like places get geographically ignored because they're assumed to be better off?
So I think that there are a couple things when it comes to geography. I think that could be part of it. I also think that all too often you get brain drain in a way. Like for those of us who grew up in those small areas, we don't want to go back there. We're going to leave there. So a lot of the work is going to be left undone by people leaving. But that's because, to be honest, I don't have the energy to change all of the bigoted and racist, homophobic, sexist, for the lack of better phrasing, crap that is present in South Central Indiana. I don't. I think that the reason why I had a better experience at IU and your friend had a better experience in College Station is because even though College Station is a very conservative area and Indiana is a very conservative state, and the area around Indiana University is a very conservative area, college campuses, minus Liberty University, the college campuses that are brick and mortar campuses tend to actually be those I guess marketplace of ideas where people can actually come together and talk and learn about other people and learn about other things and be challenged. And so I think that it doesn't surprise me that your friend had a better experience in College Station than in Nebraska, because when you look at some of those sparsely populated areas, and Nebraska is a sparsely populated state, every part of Nebraska is, even Omaha is a fairly sparsely populated city itself. It's not a massive city. Again, you get those people who just can't put in the effort and they have to leave. Mm-hmm. And then you get people who end up migrating there who may identify the exact same way, only our migration to that particular spot may not be done by our own choosing.
Right.
And so, you know, it could be, oh, there's a great job here. I'm going to spend time here. It could also be that you're called back for family things. But I mean, we tend to escape places we don't feel welcome or don't want to be. It's just that sometimes those places are tend to be massive cities, and you end up in massive unrest like now because people don't have the ability to move and don't have the ability to leave. So
I think there's a part B to that too that you kind of touched on. I think it would say, you know, there's a lot of people that don't leave, and it's if they've got preconceived notions on things, it's not that they mean it in a bad way. It's just if you're raised with there are certain things you're raised with. Now you do need to make up your own mind as a responsible adult, but there are people, if you don't get out, you don't see other things, and you don't see where people are coming from. And that one example I'll slightly touch on before I shut up will be like the like where I grew up. You've been to Canyon before, West Texas A&M. I mean, it's a very friendly town. I mean, it's when you think of small town hospitality, it's a great little town. It's also like 90% white and 10% Hispanic. And so like when people there, like if somebody had a rebel flag on their car or something, it never once did they think twice about it. It was just kind of like, oh, I listen to country music or something. Like there was nobody there taking offense to it. So therefore we didn't really hear anything. Plus we were 3 hours from Native American reservations who fought for the South because they wanted their land back. So we kind of thought it was racist not to support it. So, I mean, there was a lot of different percent. Then I moved to Central Texas and it was like, oh, you know, there's a broader view of things. So I think that people need to be able to branch out in addition to those who don't want to come back.
yeah, absolutely.
Y'all don't be going around campus saying, Garrett was talking about rebel. No, I'm just examples.
It's funny though, because we talk about like education, and something that I learned 2 semesters ago actually. So I grew up kind of in a town that sounds similar to Garrett. It's like 90% white, 10% Hispanic. And honestly, Bowie is known to be a pretty racist town. I won't go into very big specifics, but there are certain things that are still there that are extremely racist. But I grew up thinking that you know, it's okay to be colorblind, and I thought that was kind of like trying to like discount like racism. But recently I took a race and ethnicity class my first semester at A&M, and I learned something called color blind racism. This is something that I never like heard of before. It's something that I never like even really thought of. So when I learned about like what colorblind racism was, and I pulled up the exact definition, so I had it in front of me, and it's when like whites' assertion that they are living in a world where racial privilege is like no longer exists, but their behavior supports racialized structures and practices. And something that I learned that it's okay to see different races because it's okay for us to be different. And I feel like this kind of goes for like all aspects of life, whether it's like races, ethnicities, you know, sexual preference, like whatever. It's okay to notice that we are all different, that cultures are different, experiences are different. It's finding, it's being accepting, being empathetic of, you know, kind of talking about being able to sit down with each other and really talk. And even Jessica talked about the definition of, oh gosh, what was it, Jess?
Accountability.
Accountability, yes. Like being accountable for, you know, like our privilege in every aspect. And Dr. Shane is the best at this. If you ever get the chance to take her race and ethnicity class, I so highly recommend it, because she talks about even herself. She's like, yes, I am a part of an immigrant family here. Like she's from Australia, if y'all didn't know. And she's a woman, which makes her, you know, in the quote unquote minority group, but because she is white, she had different privileges that she realized she would not have had if she was of another race. And I think really taking a step back, because I grew up also really poor. So I took a step back and I really thought to myself, okay, like I grew up in a small town as a woman who is extremely poor. yeah, I was at a disadvantage, but I tried to take a step back and realize where was I privileged. And I realized really, really fast how being white made me a privileged person in this country. And even for the longest time, like even like I said, like sexual preference too can make you privileged in a lot of ways, because how you're represented in media and on television, and how you just kind of like see the world around you. I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like I said like that color blindness and like even like quote unquote like sexual preference blindness can really limit our mindset, that I think that we should really reach out more and talk to others and educate ourselves about what's going on in their experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to step off here in a minute to get to Salt, but I wanted to share, you're absolutely right. Being blind to the difference of others, whether it's skin or it's sexual orientation or it's religion, being blind to those differences makes you just as culpable as individuals who are not, and as individuals who are engaging in outwardly and very open racist behavior, very open homophobic and sexist and race and religion hating behavior. When you acknowledge an individual's difference or acknowledge an individual, you're acknowledging the individual. If you discount their race, their religion, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation, you are discounting the person. You're basically saying you are not a person. And so if by saying you're colorblind or you're saying you're blind to these differences, you're absolutely right. You are engaging in the exact same behavior, if not worse, because you are now saying you are not a person. Whether it's unintentional or not, is something we all have to be very mindful of. We have to acknowledge these differences exist and be able to talk about it and understand how we all fit into community all at once, and how each person has value. And with that, I apologize, everybody. I have to get to Salt. So I will see you all. Thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
Paul, for joining us today. You take care.
You guys too.
I don't know if you guys have read this before. It's kind of a difficult read because of the verbiage, but I had to read it for Dr. Shane's class, and I really enjoyed it. And it was W.E. Du Bois's The Souls of Black Folk. And you know, he really like talks about, I forgot what chapter it was, but he talks about how we're kind of like integrating with everything that's going on, kind of I guess like racial matters as well as like the LGBT community. But it talks about how like the Black community can like contribute to, you know, like society, and how like kind of like Paul was saying and how I was saying a second ago, how it's okay to be different, because different people bring different things to the table. You know, we all don't have the same toolbox of like mindset, like tools of success. Like they're all different, and they all come in so many like shapes and sizes. So taking the time to just take a step back and realizing that diversity is important, especially I feel like in our community, because we're like an upper level institution itself. We have a variety of ages and races despite our geographical location. You know, so I really don't know where I was going with this. I just feel like I really had to share that because I love that book, and I want to figure out what chapter that was because I really enjoyed reading it. But yeah.
I don't know how many of y'all know this, but there was actually like a rally in Killeen like this past weekend. I thought it was beautiful. I wasn't here because I was in one in Austin, but I thought it was really nice to see that everyone was walking together and like support, and like everyone was like honking in support, and I don't know, it was really nice.
Yeah, it was on Fort Hood on Sunday on Fort Hood Street.
This is in no way a self-plug, but if y'all enjoy good, heartwarming protest results, go to my Instagram stories, I've got like 2 or 3 of them in there that were like the news we need to see right now. So.
Mhm. Now it's interesting. We talk a lot about education and accessibility to that. Like we were talking about like small towns. You know, they're comfortable with their local culture, and you know, not until some of those individuals leave the small town do they see a wider variety of opinion and accessibility to information. I think is something that is incredibly important for Pride Month, and also for what's happening in our country right now and the injustices that are being done against people of color. And I think that it falls to you, ambassadors, to educate your peers and to make information available and to be champions for your classmates, not just on campus, but also in your community. And so you're right, Kristen, like our campus is made of a lot of different types of people. We have a lot of different aged individuals. We have people from all over the country because of Fort Hood, coming to us from small towns and big cities like Pittsburgh, and bringing those people together and making information available to them and letting them know that it's Pride Month and letting them know what that means, and giving shout outs to the freedom fighters that led the charge and things like that, and letting people know what's going on, and being, like Carla said at the beginning, was being that united force at the front line, making people feel welcome and loved is really kind of what you're charged with. And so I think hosting like virtual coffee with the Bluecoats for Pride Month is really important. So thank you for having allies and for having people come and share their stories with us.
Thank you for saying that. I love this group. I'm looking at these faces and I see just a diversity. You know what I mean? All races, genders, and you guys are like the best. It wasn't done on purpose to pick, you know, specific people. You guys just came together, and you know, I love it. I love the fact that you guys are representing our school right now. It makes me proud. It makes me proud to say that, you know, Hispanic female is leading the charge with 5 young, bright minds with such a variety. So let's do what we have to do. And I know it's sad right now, a lot of the things that are going on, and it's disheartening, but don't let that get you down. Let that fuel you and make you that much stronger in your convictions, you know? Let that drive you and say, I'm not gonna put up with this. You know, sometimes a little revolution is a good thing. And we need that right now. I mean, that's how, you know, that's how civil rights movements, Stonewall, me being from a Latino background, you know, we marched the wall, you know, there's always forms of protest, and I charge you with taking that forward. And same thing I tell my kids, you know, it's gonna be, I've done my part and I'm gonna continue to do my part, but I think right now my biggest part is supporting folks like you. And I want those conversations to continue. I want conversations to be peaceful, but I want them to be meaningful, you know, because your voices will be heard. And thank you for sharing, everybody, for sharing everything today. It's pretty, you know, very charged, and it's a thick subject to talk about, and you feel like you're kind of swimming through soup at this point. But you know, having folks like you to work with every day and to talk to every day, it makes it better. What movie?
V for Vendetta.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, I just saw that, it just popped up. A revolution.
If you've never seen that movie,
Oh, he quoted it.
great time to watch it.
Oh yeah. Oh, I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it since I was like 11.
Well, it all starts with a virus, then a shutdown, then a bunch of masks. Then, I mean, yeah, no, you'll relate.
Whoa, that's literally 2020.
Very relevant for the times.
It's a warming movie.
I love what Kaneda said. She said there's so much to be learned from the mashup of this group. Yes, ma'am, and you're part of it. Every single one of us are part of it. So
I'm not an optimist.
do-
I'm a realist who leans optimist, but you know what my hope is?
Mhm.
Protests kind of die down, actions actually taken, you know, it gets kind of, there's a little bit of harmony by July 4th, and then we have the most lit July 4th ever since the original one.
Right?
Like, yeah, we need a big old America party where everybody's happy.
So what are sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like speaking of little like protest or whatever. So today is actually Blackout Tuesday, where people like use their social media to post like blacked out squares in honor of the Black Lives Matter movement. So if you want to be a part of this movement, I do recommend posting a black square to all of your social medias. But please do not use the hashtag Black Lives Matter, because that kind of like hashtag on social media is being used to share like resources. I didn't put any hashtags on mine, just because I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose. So like, please, if you do that, don't do the hashtag Black Lives Matter. But also we
posts, and it'll just, when you search that hashtag, it'll just be all black boxes.
Yeah, it would be better to use Blackout Tuesday.
Yeah,
It'll look like
That's what I've
Instagram.
seen.
in honor of that, the Bluecoats did post a 8-minute, 46-second long YouTube video in honor of George Floyd. So and it's a video of pure silence. And I know a lot of people have tried to like hold their breath for that long, and you physically like can't. So I can only really imagine what George Floyd like really went through, having a 200+ pound man on his neck. So yeah, kind of in honor of him today, and a lot of other like Black people who have lost their lives to police brutality. I do recommend kind of like sharing that video and taking a second to educate those around you about what today means.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are sad about not being able to go to protest because of health reasons, but really, I think everyone's doing what they can. I'm very proud of everyone here.
I think that's something that can be remembered, is that you don't have to go to a protest to show up.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to be visible, you can put signs in your driveway, you can put them on your car, you can stand on a corner that's not populated. If you want to show up in a physical way and be seen. There's also a lot of really wonderful groups that need support. That everybody is posting about, so I'm not going to laundry list them here. They're very easily found. Following people of influence, both in the Black community and the LGBTQ community, to continue to be educated and to continue to learn about what's going on, and how you can be helpful is also very important. I think one of the things about Black Tuesday that is impactful to me is it's not about what I have to say today about anything. And listening to those voices that need to be heard today is really important. And like Paul said before he left, like we should be doing it every day. And we should be remaining vigilant. Even though we have health concerns and COVID and everybody's afraid to go outside and be around other people, there are a lot of ways for you to show up for your community. And Pride Month is supposed to be a celebration too. So, you know, it's really easy to feel bogged down by all of the things that are happening, but also remembering to lift each other up is super important. So.
Yeah, for sure.
In the Blue Coat video, oh, sorry. I was gonna say in the Blue Coat video, I did list some ways to make a difference from home. I included like phone numbers to call, and I listed like places to donate, and I also listed where you can, the links to where you can sign a petition. There's like multiple links on the video, so if you don't know where to start, I do recommend checking those out. And you can even Google, I Googled to find these George Floyd resources. I'm sure you can Google like Black Lives Matter resources and stuff like that. find more if you don't like the ones that we listed, but that's a way to make a change from home too.
Yeah. There's also like lots of community bail funds for like wrongly arrested peaceful protesters. I think that's really important. Because when I went to protest, I made sure to write like a couple like numbers on my wrist just in case, you know, because I wasn't gonna do anything like not non-violent. Is that not non-violent at all? But just in case, to be safe.
And I would also throw in there's a few links, and I can post a couple if I can go find them again. In the protests, there have been a lot of Black small business owners who lost their businesses to the violence while they were out protesting, which is very unfortunate. And so there's GoFundMe's to, even though a lot of them have insurance, there are some that they just started up. And if you've started a business during COVID, you were all, it doesn't matter what color you were suffering. So there's a lot of Black business owners who are getting kind of both ends of the burning candle on this thing. So there's some links to help them.
There are a lot of
specifically to Ambassador Williams, Canetta, and Mensch. What do you guys need from us to show our solidarity? What can we do? Even, you know, I know having something like this and having this conversation, but what is your perspective?
Well, for myself, when I was coming up, I didn't go to high school. In my area, I wasn't other cultures, I wasn't introduced to it until I joined the military. I didn't go to high school with anybody of another race until in high school, through any school at all. So when I joined the military, I did not know how to interact with other cultures. So in basic training, you were partnered with a person of another race in basic. When I was stationed at Fort Knox. And at that time, this individual, total opposite from me, tall guy, about 6'5", skinny as a bean, from Maine. And I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, from opposite sides of the world. And we had to take care of one another. He couldn't do push-ups, so we had to make sure he knew what was going on. But my going to the end, growing up, only thing I heard was negativity because I grew up in the South. So if any other thing about other races was a negative connotation, you know. And so I didn't know. So I only knew what was taught to me growing up or what I saw as as an individual. So, but when his family came to our graduation, my family wasn't able to make it. His family took me and showed me a great, excellent time for the whole weekend. And I couldn't believe it because I was like, I'm thinking they was trying to kill me or something. I don't know. Seriously, I did not know. So when I first joined the Army, yeah, I interacted. I met racism in basic and in my first duty station. I was younger then, so I handled it violently because I didn't know no better. But that was just, that was in me. Like, what? Really? But as growing up, and y'all mentioned the LGBT, in Iraq, I had an individual that lived in the barracks. He was a homosexual general. He was homosexual, but we went to war together. No one cares. I mean, you leave it alone. Like if we were in the street and some guy was picking on him because he was homosexual, and that's our brother. I don't have time for that because he could have took a bullet just like me and been dead. So regardless of what you are, it's just you gain to see a camaraderie, and then it's just like he's a person that's like me and you. I can be discriminated on, he could be discriminated on just the same way, regardless of what we got going on, we all bleed the same color. It's red. So for me, just seeing that, when I look at the news, seeing that there's more than just black folks out there screaming and hollering and stuff is cool, because a lot, it seems like they're really understanding the point that is trying to come across, is that, okay, they're just not making this up. We just watched this guy kill this man, treat him worse than a dog. So that is, for me, you I don't even know how to explain how every time just the thought of it, just, so it's just I don't know, man. Y'all do what you do. Get with your folks. You all are, like Miss Perez said, y'all guys are a good group of folks. So keep doing what you're doing. You all are like brothers and sisters. So, and if you don't even know it right now, from this incident right here, you all will stay in contact with one another for the rest of your lives and not even think about nothing else about how this affected your life, because you won't bring your children up that way, or you will bring them up in a place of inclusion, of everyone's together, because that's what, for the most part, is trying to happen. You see, like in '93, when I graduated in '93 from high school. I was totally separate from any other individual or group of people until I joined the military, which I'm thankful that I had a chance to to get that experience, just to learn from other cultures, because it's just, if you don't leave your area or your comfortable spot where you grew up at, you won't never get a full spectrum of what the world has to offer, and what, because your couple of blocks that you live at is not the actual world. You're in a little, not even a percent of what is out there, or the people that you interact with. So keep being inclusive. Don't, just spread love. It's all love. You gotta chill and relax, man, because it's no other way to be. Because you can't, I can't go in this office right here. I can't come in here and just be talking crazy to folks because they're a certain type of way, or ignore them, or be a certain type of way to people, because it's just, if I would have came in there and started acting crazy, Jessica would have been like, I'm gonna beat your ass, dude.
Your desk, bro.
So, it's just, you know.
You
But,
gotta keep each other accountable, huh?
but for me, it's just, I grew up with negativity. Like right now, I got the worst in my mind, thinking what the worst scenario could possibly be from yesterday's press conference for the rest of this week. I'm thinking of the worst. I'm not thinking of a positive solution at all, because it's just, gasoline is just being thrown. I thought it was going to be water yesterday, but he bought out the gas tank and then start pouring gas on it. So I'm thinking of the worst. I hate to say it like this, but it if if no real resolution comes from this, it's going to be a bad June, beginning of the month. And I hate to say it because it's nice out. I want to go out and hang out, chill, with my mask and gloves on.
Yeah.
So
You can come hang out with me, but just stand 6 feet apart. COVID's still there.
I'm here doing work right now. I heard you guys talk, but thank you for giving me the chance just to talk, because I speak to my wife about it all the time. Me and her talk about it all the time. It's just this, you don't really realize what's going on in the world until you are faced with it. So, like I said, well, as a child, I never really saw racism, but when I joined the military, I saw it in my beginning years. But through the most part, everybody, like they say on the news, it's just a 1% of assholes out there that just don't get it. So it's just so it's not everybody. So like I said, you can't that and like you said, the police officers, all cops aren't. Everybody's just trying to do their. And at the end of the day, they just want to get home to their kids or to their families. And being afraid and the training that the cops get and the lack of training that they're not getting or whatever, or however, needs to change. And that's just the process and the way education wise for everybody. Because a lot of, like I said, the amount of the education that is provided right now, I never would have thought I have never seen anything like it while I'm here. I didn't have access to a whole lot of things coming up. So you gotta embrace it and take advantage of what you can when you can and where you're at. Because and you got Miss Carla right here, Miss Perez. She seems like she is all the way for you guys. So you all need to take advantage of any opportunity she throw your way. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Take it, and that's what I'm doing. I'm probably the oldest person on this page, but I'm trying to learn how to do Canva and all of this Camtasia and all this other stuff, so I can hang with you guys.
Isn't it
Thank
really
you,
unfair
Marge.
that like all of our tools start with the letter C? Like, why? You know,
This
it's
is go to
interesting.
meeting.
You said that you went to a high school where you didn't have any other races with you, that you didn't really experience until you joined the military. I grew up in a place where it's unfathomable to me that there isn't an integration of all races all the time. I grew up in a big city. I went to a high school that had representation from all of these different ethnicities and sexual orientation and sexual identities. It was not super liberal, contrary to what you might think in that environment. But so to hear you say that you went to a high school that wasn't represented that way, in my big city girl mind, I'm like, really? Is that even possible today? Wow. Like, and that's part of like just like the lack of education, just of how different different places are.
You're not the oldest. You say you graduated in 93. I graduated in 94. So I'm right there with you.
Okay.
So thank you
Yeah.
thank you for that. You
I just like when I try to talk to folks, I just want to let them know, y'all are doing an excellent job. I don't know what else can be done, because it's a leadership thing, really, truly. It starts how they teach us in school. It starts from the top in any corporation. It starts from the top, regardless of what we're doing or whatever. It starts from the top. Leadership feeds everything else. So until we got to get out and vote. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Tell your friends, go vote for everything. The local everything. The stores, everything. Walmart. You want new stores in? Go vote. Whatever comes in your mail talking about voting, go vote for it. Because it seems like those are the things that are hurting us the most, not the things on the federal level. It's the local levels that are gotten us jammed up. So we got to go vote. We want new things. I still don't understand why we only got a Walmart on every corner around here and only 2 HEBs. It's ridiculous.
And like 2 Aldi. What is that about?
they're German, that's why.
No, quality shopper.
They have to come
Since I
across
know
from the other side.
not support AGB.
We,
But if you go as far as you can from the nearest civilization, you'll find a Dollar General out in the field somewhere.
There's 5 around me, okay? I have $5 like near.
Oh, my goodness gracious. No, you're right. You should vote locally, and you should also participate, run, be a part of your council. Participate, show up.
I need a bandana, Canetta. So mine disappeared. The gray disappeared. Well, guys, everybody, I love every single one of you here, and thank you for sharing and supporting and just showing up, you know, and being willing to talk about it and show how raw our nerves are right now. This has been probably one of my favorite Coffee with the Blue Coats, so thank you.
hey, COVID is still going on, so please be careful, please.
Yeah.
Masks.
The revolutionary minds here.
I
Remember,
have
get
goggles.
arrested, and if you do, please call me immediately.
I will not get
What are the
arrested.
numbers you write on your wrist, you guys?
They're still there. They're just faded.
Don't get arrested, please. Don't get arrested.
I won't get arrested. I promise.
Yeah.
I'm really good at sprinting. I'm just kidding.
Well, everyone, it is 10:56, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here. Blue Coats, you want to say any parting words?
I seriously thought that was a different finger y'all just put up. Like,
Oh! Sorry.
but I get we're excited,
No,
but
no,
man,
Jessica, calm down.
Oh my goodness.
Yeesh.
I need more coffee, but I'm definitely awake now.
We'll bleep that out when we record it, right, please?
All I have to say is be safe. Protect your fellow brethren, citizens, you know. Yeah.
And I will add something to what Hannah just said. I would say that you look at any achievement in history, because America's never been perfect, no country has. No matter how bad something's been, there's always a worse time to address it, and then it gets better. Any issue. So no matter how bad your week may seem, how depressing the news looks, things will get better.
Remember what Mr. Rogers used to say, look for the helpers.
That.
If you're watching the news and you're seeing all these things that are happening, look for the helpers.
Look for the look for the Flint, Michigan police chief.
Yeah.
If anyone didn't see that, he showed up to the protesters. He had everyone take their helmets off, put the batons on the ground. They ended up walking with them. I mean, just look for that stuff.
Yep. He said, tell us what you need.
Yeah.
I love it. Look for the helpers.
All right, everyone, take care and God bless, and we will see y'all next week.
Love y'all.
I love y'all.
Love you too.
Bye, guys.